Okay. We have been, those of us who are on the journey, has been shoulder with a burden with the conceptual change. And the conceptual change is to take the experiences that we have, right, and ripen them. Now, just because they are ripened, it does not mean that there is a conceptual change taking place. It means there's an opportunity for it. It's just like the ripened fruit on a tree. It does not mean that the fruit is eaten, but there's the right opportunity for it to be eaten. And if it's not, it rottens. So
or it's left for the birds or
right.
whatever.
So we have to do that. We present the opportunity for it to, to be consumed. And in order for it to be consumed, we also have to create the opportunity of create the sense of hunger, so it can be consumed. And the best way to create the sense of hunger is to remove all of the fast food, everything that people are looking for to consume. To mitigate it for a certain period of time, remove all of that so they can see what hunger really is. And when they see what hunger really is and begin to consume the ripened fruit on this tree or the concepts that have been presented, now the hunger is no longer present, and we are at a place where this tree of life can be realized. There is nothing in me that makes me think that the Creator is ever going to transform the tree of knowledge of good and evil into life itself. It is incumbent upon us to do that. And the us of whom I speak is humanity. And if you think about it this way, if you can see the whole of humanity as a body or a brain, right? Let's see it as your body. You can make a decision whether or not you're going to move your hand to do a good, whether you're going to move your hand to help someone or to hinder someone. So if we can see humanity as that brain, then there are different sections of the brain that does different things. So we have to make sure that we don't focus just on one section and think that because we see one thing working what seems to be properly, that everything else is okay. Mm. But it is a continuous process of transformation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's a transformation of thought. It's a transformation of concepts. And these are the things that fill us. And by fill us, I'm not talking about filling us in terms of our physical, these physical entities, but filling us in terms of our spiritual essence. We talk about having a hunger for knowledge. That's a hunger for experiences. We talk about being starved when it comes to understanding what life is. So we use all of these terms, and the terms that we use are actually spiritual terms that we are aware of or not aware of. Papa, what is it?
So all of the things that happen then that we say are circumstantial, or maybe not circumstantial, but are opportunities for us to see our perceived lack.
Yes.
In creating that hungriness, that whether it's earthquake, whether it's the flood, whatever it is, opportunities to help us see our perceived lack, because stuff happens because we perceive lack.
Right.
That may not be the truth.
But that's it. And the perceived lack, when we see it, that's the rightness.
And that's the opportunity.
That's the opportunity.
Okay.
Right. When we see that perceived lack, that's the rightness. before we see it, that's unrightness. Because unrightness is something that is what perceived to be wrong or non-existent. Rightness is when we see it. What we do with it determines whether or not it becomes life or whether it just continues to be a perception. Because see, a perception that's not acted upon is just that, a perception. It only becomes life when it's acted upon. Yeah, does that make sense? You can perceive anything you want to perceive.
Okay, I got that.
But if you don't do anything about it, it's just a perception.
Or an
It's something.
idea that.
It's just an idea. Yeah, you can perceive. There is something that I perceive called a barren nut, and I did all of these sketching and stuff for it, and sought to patent it all the whole 9 yards. Barren nut. It was something that you put on the wheel that is impossible to take off without the proper wrench. So it was like a lock for loads. But as long as it was in my mind, it was a concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked about it, you could perceive what I'm saying, but until it actually happened, it's simply just an idea. It's just a perception. And now it's simply an idea on paper because it has not been brought to fruition. You can put it on anything, be it a lug nut, you can put it on the heat unit, and the only way you can take it off is with a special tool because of the way it's made.
I'm stuck on when you say that perceived lack is rightness.
Okay. Don't be stuck. That's Greece, so she won't be stuck.
Thank you.
Okay. Perceived lack is rightness. Okay?
Okay.
If I perceive, okay, let's say that you're thirsty for water, right?
Okay.
And you don't know what water really is.
Okay.
Now you see what water is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this is your perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way this is ripened now because you see what water is.
Okay.
But before this water can become life to you, you have to experience it.
Okay.
But as long as it's sitting over here, it does you no good.
I got you now. That makes sense.
So you just remain thirsty and you die in your thirst.
Right, you die in your thirst. It's like you're dying in your sin.
Okay.
You are dying in your sin. So
Stop trying to.
I heard. Hey kids. So you die. So you have to change.
Okay.
Or you have to move towards that perception in order to bring it to fruition.
Okay.
How does that apply when you say that we have to, when we talked about melanin,
Uh-huh.
and we said we have to, what word did we use? Detoxify?
Yes.
Purify, or whatever.
Yeah.
Purify your melanin. Okay. How does all you said apply to purifying melanin and illness? Or perceived illness?
You should have called
Because
me.
you said
Yeah,
something
that
about
question weeks out.
nurturing before. So, do we nurture illness or
Yes.
perceived illness?
Yes. We nurture illness. We have been taught to
Okay.
nurture illness. We got sick days.
Until Friday.
Yeah, I mean, we have been, we have been taught to nurture. We have sections of stores set aside for medication, for illness. We have wellness insurance, or we have preventive care. You see, so we nurture sickness. We talk about, you don't look like you feel well. I don't. So we nurture it. Now, wonder what would happen if we would have, instead of having sick days, have well days. This is something that's a reality. When I guess in the late 80s, early 90s, I made a decision at Mount Calvary, Great Faith, that we will not have a sick list. Because if you have a sick list, someone has to be sick to be on the list. And when we stop having a sick list, I stopped having folks sick. And I had gone so long without having people sick until they retired my badge at the hospital. My little preacher badge that you wear at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
They gave my number to someone else because I never used it. But when you think about that, what is happening? I didn't see it then. I just knew that if you got a sick list, somebody got to be on it. But when I look at it retrospectively, I began to see that I was creating the energy for my people to be sick by creating a sick list. So, if I create a well list, then, there is wellness. The other thing is that one of the things I taught was, once I began to see that the scriptures that I was teaching was different than what was in the book. When I began to see what was in the scriptures, one of the things I taught was this. If you teach what's in the book, you're teaching life. If you don't, you're teaching death. And that's why your people die. And when I was at 5 years, Mount Tabor, I was there for 5 years. And I had less than 3 funerals. At Mount Tabor, Mount Calvary, same thing. Great Faith, I think the whole time I've been there, what I've had, Miss Christine Robert, about 4, Ms. Knuckles, about 4 funerals. Yeah, about 4. Since 84, 85. Because I believe if you teach life, that's what you get, life. Now, based upon what I understand now, the melanin, by virtue of me being in agreement with the universe that life is perpetual, now the melanin is being purified or detoxified. And if I am the covering and you have submitted to the authority or granted me to be covered in your life, I have the authority, the ability, the whatever. I don't like the words that I'm using, but I can't think of another. Maybe the professor can. But I have,
Professor Sheldon.
yes, I have one of the, the authority, whatever it is, to contaminate or decontaminate your melanin by virtue of what I say or how I act. And that's why I'm very, very cautious as to how I speak in reference to life itself. It does not have to be speaking in reference to you. It doesn't matter what it's in reference to. It has to be geared toward life and living. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, since I recognize that,
Before you continue, what he means by authority does not necessarily mean at all that he has the power over you or anyone else to do any particular things. It's the same thing, the same idea when someone has another, they go to a minister or something, you pray over them. They are basically giving that person or lending that person credence and being able to direct them. That's where the idea comes from. Don't just let anyone pray for you. So how we are affected by others and how the influence they have on us, deep down we are actually giving them basically like a permission slip, like, yes, I am going to along with this is fine, this is okay. There are other times when you may staunchly not agree with this person, or you may not link up, for lack of better words, link your spirit up with them, and you will completely deny the things that they are saying. But deep down, when you accept these things, you are in agreement. So it's not as if you're just totally powerless and being acted upon.
Thank you.
I just wanted to insert that.
Okay. So, and that actually leads us to that scripture that talks about the tree that produced no more fruit, and it was cast into the fire. That particular scriptures talk about leadership, and the leadership leading you to a place of nothingness, or teaching you poisonous things, as opposed to teaching you life, or feeding you poisonous fruit or unripened fruit, as opposed to fruit that would enhance your journey.
And you are what you eat.
You are what you right. You are what you eat. So it's in that regard. So when we talk about it in regards to melanin, it is not something that Audrey only is the only one who has influence on the melanin in a physical sense or spiritual for that matter. But I do as well. But not only I, but when we look at the teachers or look at the facilitators, by virtue of your seeking guidance from us, you also lend yourself to our influence, spiritually and physically. Because whatever happens spiritually is manifested physically. So that's one of the reasons I was so adamant last week about the facilitator. We have to be on the same page. We have to be. Because if I am on this page, I'm telling you, and we talk about it and we see it, and you do nothing about it, then we're not on the same page. We're only on the same page when we embrace and activate what we're talking about. And that is why it is so imperative that we at least periodically come together, so that when we make a statement, all of us understand it the same way.
Well, isn't it a marriage?
It's definitely a marriage in the truest sense of a marriage. Not in the sense of marriage that we see marriages,
Right.
but it is a marriage in the truest sense of a marriage.
Yeah.
Because if you were to see how we interact on a continuous basis when we are together, it doesn't matter whether we're eating, acting crazy, or studying. We are always in the same place. There's a unicity, there's a oneness there that's different. It's like when we were together. When we were together last week, people could come into the room. Anthony and Jean could come into the room. It didn't matter who came in. It doesn't matter. They were not connected to what we were doing. But when everyone else began to come in, everyone else was connected. You see what I'm talking about? To what we were doing. But prior to that, it was like we were speaking Russian. And we understood each other. And when everyone else came in, we were saying the same thing. And everyone else began to understand what we were talking about. That's what I'm talking about when I say that when you submit yourself to this kind of influence, it comes from all of us. So we have to be on the same page. The flow of our melanin has to be the same. And when I say that, I'm not talking about in terms of your body. I'm talking about from a spiritual perspective. Because in our bodies, yes, it's going to be different in this flow, in this influence. At some point, though, we will get to the place where when something goes awry in these structural entities that we call bodies, we will separate from everyone and everything else and go into our closet, of quotations, of course, and deal with it so that we can emerge whole in terms of the body. Because if your body is not whole, then it is very difficult to stay spiritually focused. I was sharing with last night. Was it last night? Last night, you might have messed with me about being sick, and I said, "Somebody just live here, mind me." No, I came in not feeling well, and I said, "Leave me alone." I was hoarse and wasn't feeling well. I need to deal with this. Let's go. Close the door and leave me alone. And when I emerged, I was fine. What did I do? I refocused the energy and I detoxified the melanin. And everything is fine. Every single one of us collectively has to do that at some point in our lives. And you cannot detoxify melanin if you walk around feeling guilty about stuff. Because guilt is a negative response.
Can you connect guilt and the tree of knowledge of good and evil?
1 second.
Go ahead.
Okay. The tree of guilt is unripened. It is guilt and forgiveness of diametrics. You can't talk about being the essence or the epitome of forgiveness and walk around with guilt. There's no balance there. As opposed to balance, there's a battle. Now, am I saying that there are things that you do, engage in, speak, that you should not at some point, that you will not, I should say, experience some guilt? I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that when you experience it, deal with it. That's what I am saying. Deal with it. The quicker you deal with it, the faster you become balanced again. And the faster you become balanced again, the more reflective you are of the tree of life. Does that make sense?
I missed the part about melanin.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Talk.
sorry.
Enrica wasn't there. So,
I'm sorry, yeah, because when we just dealt, you were not there either.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what do you want to know?
Melanin, what is it?
Melanin count.
What is it?
Melanin is a substance in our bodies that's not just in our bodies, but in everything that lives, everything that exists. It is a substance of life. There is no life without it. There is nothing that exists without it. Nothing. And when the melanin is contaminated, meaning that when it is not flowing properly or when it is inhibited, then the results can be catastrophic, but at best, the result is stagnation. Things cease to grow.
Okay.
Janice.
It can also absorb and radiate energy perfectly. So perfectly, in fact, it's difficult to study. Like you
Or
can't,
stop it.
Or stop it. Like you can't X-ray it because it will just suck in all of the X-rays and then kind of diffusely emit them. So it can be really difficult to understand. If you're born without it in your ears, you might not hear well. Or if it's not in your eyes, you won't be able to see because it can absorb light or sound and help us to interpret. It's everywhere.
does
It's in your brain
everything.
tissue. Yeah.
Well, doesn't it
And
sound
it's
like
the real, melanin is what gives us our color.
Yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
was gonna say that. Yeah. Okay.
And all
Like
genes
you have
are
it in
dark,
your-
are black.
In your genes, in your brain, in your ears, your eyes.
all genes are black because they're covered in melanin. And skin, the greater amount of melanin in your skin, the darker you are. So you got a lot of melanin.
And if it's designed,
And-
if it emits light,
And them two don't have
that-
much
that's
to do
what
with
it's
it.
supposed to
Hang on here. We got enough.
You're a mess.
But that melanin, go ahead, Bob, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was just simply saying, if it's a good conductor of light, and it is,
Yeah,
and we don't allow it to do what it was created to do, we shut down rightness to start with. We're
right.
not being authentic to what we were created to do anything otherwise.
And the whiteness, the color white, does not absorb any color.
So I was gonna ask you about the Caucasian.
But the color, Caucasians are white, they're pink.
What?
And I'll get to that in a second.
Okay,
Black absorbs all colors.
right.
So it's in keeping with the energy of which Denise spoke, where melanin absorbs everything.
Right.
And the funny thing about it is, once it absorbs the energy, it emits it the way it chooses to. You can't determine it.
Wow.
You cannot determine how melanin is going to react, respond to however you want to determine it. It does what it does.
But it emits it in such a way as to maintain balance.
Always. Always
Whether
balance.
it's like heat or light, or whatever it is, which is part of why it's difficult to study. It's considered one of the most stable
It is
the most stable substances
Yeah.
we know of.
But
And-
scientists can't really study them, they
Yeah.
can't grasp it.
and
It's weird.
if you use chemicals in your hair, it freezes the melanin. It causes it to stop functioning. It doesn't destroy it. It just doesn't function anymore.
That's why I'm natural.
Now, it's too late.
Wow,
But-
that is unique.
And melanin is unique. It's the only substance of its kind. And it's found everywhere. In the universe, no matter where you are, melanin is always there. It's everywhere. So, the idea of pinkness is because the blood vessels are closer to the surface. The skin is thinner. The less melanin you have, the thinner the skin is. The reason we're darker is because our skin is thicker and is able to absorb the sunlight, and the conversion of the sunlight, because of melanin, it becomes increase of vitamin D. And without the presence of vitamin D, you cannot absorb. So the presence of vitamin D is vital to life itself. No one knows how much you need, even though they've done everything they could to try to measure, the amounts that's needed for the absorption of other vitamins. No one knows how much you actually need, except your body. Not your body does know that. And Deborah
Wow.
might need more than you. Janice might need more than Deborah. It doesn't matter. We don't know. It depends on our energy flow. Our energy flows are different, yet they're the same. They're the same in that energy is the same,
Right.
but the flow is different.
Right.
And it is my belief that because of those types of things, that is one of the reasons no two people are alike. Because energy, what we see is a manifestation of energy flow.
Right.
And we don't see any two people who are exactly alike. So their energy flows differently.
Thank you.
I agree. God, you won't look like you.
We weren't talking about the look, we were talking about the energy.
Oh, okay.
As for you.
So that's to help you with
I
melanin.
got, yeah, I'm gonna do
Okay,
more research
Rika?
too. That was interesting.
And honestly, we just scratched the surface.
Wow.
Because there's so much more to it, and we talked about a lot more in relation to it, last week.
What did we say about people who have, is it vitiligo?
Yeah.
What is that?
They're losing the pigment in their skin?
Oh, that, okay,
And
that.
turning white?
Yeah. Okay.
Inhibition of melanin to flow or to produce itself.
As well as albino.
Yeah. And again, a decrease of melanin is an increase in the change of skin tone, lightness. It increases the color of your skin, the lightness of your skin, the decrease in melanin. And see, we have to deal with it from a spiritual / scientific perspective, as opposed to a political / racist perspective. Because if humans were different, if there were different races, based upon the concept of biology, then we would not be able to reproduce together, like a cow and a horse. You see what I'm talking about?
You mean across species?
You're a cross, yeah, you go, thank you, that's a cross species, you're an assistant professor.
I don't know, I think she's got tenure.
She got tenure. Did you realize she this is giving Audrey tenure over you.
Yep.
I didn't actually hear exactly what Denise mumbled.
She said Audrey has tenure over you. So that's okay. We can't see you, so you can use the tissue. You can use the tissue. So, but that's the concept of melanin. Now, melanin is a visible manifestation or representation of an invisible reality, which is life. No one can see life, in the natural sense. When we talk about live life, we are simply talking about operating in this earth. That's all.
Yeah.
Now, if we really were talking about living life, it'd be like leave your body. If we really were talking about, in the truest sense of that. Melanin is the commonality between everything that is. Let me show you what I mean by that. Since you brought it up, let's tie that to the tree of life. Elohim. Elohim is not a name. It is a conceptual expression of sacred unity. A unicity, a unity, a oneness that's separate from anything that seeks to be separate. Meaning that there is nothing separate. Sacred unity. The animal kingdom, the vegetative kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the spirit. All of those are different but one. The animal kingdom, the vegetative, and mineral kingdoms, those three look different, don't they? But they are one. We see them as being separate because they do not look the same. But we even subdivide the sense of separateness because we see ourselves as being separate from any other animals. And we see a rose being separate from a pine tree. But all of them are the same. And when we talk about that in regards to sacred unity, we're talking about that all of these three kingdoms are the same, and the thing that makes them the same is spirit. Without spirit, none of those three things exist. Because spirit is air, it is wind, it is breath. Same thing. So when we talk about that, and we look at the commonality between all of them, for example, the reason plants are green is because of chlorophyll. We don't have chlorophyll, as plants do. But yet we go through something similar to photosynthesis. We go through that. The commonality between everything that exists in a physical sense is melanin. You see? So if the commonality between everything that exists in a physical sense is melanin, the commonality between everything that exists in a spiritual sense is spirit itself, or breath, or air, then melanin is a physical manifestation of spirit, of life itself. And without it, nothing exists. So melanin is not, when we talk about it being a conductor of energy, then we cannot say that it's not a conductor of life, because it does conduct life. Because it is life itself. And the way life manifests is the way life chooses to manifest. When we look at the scripture and it talks about the appearance of the angel in the form of a donkey or a jackass, life manifests in the way it chooses to manifest.
Okay.
We don't make those choices as to how it manifests. And which means that melanin has a mind of its own.
Okay.
And I don't mean that in a colloquial sense, a mind of its own. I mean it in a very, very sophisticated spiritual sense, that it has a mind of its own. And the way the energy combines itself in terms of the waves, light waves, determines how it is manifested. And we can see an example of that in electricity. The flow of electricity into the light and into this TV are the same, but that flow of electricity into that light does not produce the same image that the TV does. And if it were not for the impulses of electricity, of light, then the mountains that you see on this screen as a screensaver would not exist. But you do not see them in this. Now, we have determined as God, as Elohim, how the way that they do, the way that they are arranged so they can be produced as a mountain, right? As opposed to just light waves. If we can do that as men, in quotations of course, then how much more is the Creator able to do it in terms of it manifested as a meteorite or the sun? Because all of it is the same, isn't it? Question? Oh, okay. So if we can wrap our minds around that, then I think that we will find it much easier to wrap our minds around the idea of the reality that we are creators, that we are Elohim. One of the things that has resulted in our recording from that is ownership. My child, my wife, my husband, my, you see, as opposed to ours. And the interesting thing here is that this whole sense of ownership came as a result of being in contact with those who have the lowest degree of melanin in terms of their skin. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because prior to that, there was no sense of ownership. There was a sense of sacred unity. All indigenous people until Europeans believe that we are one with not just nature, but the universe, with everything that exists. We are one with it, and we must respect it as such. Because to kill a bullock is no different than killing a man. Is that not the scriptures? That's not what Isaiah wrote? To kill a fish is no different than killing a man. If you are killing a fish to eat, you are perpetuating the essence of humanity, of that which is of creation itself. But if you kill a fish for sport, you have just interrupted creation itself.
That makes sense.
So, and it's the same thing with hunting. How in the world can you justify killing something that's been a sport when life is sacred, regardless of where the life exists? If men love deer, it would be at Milo or Safeway. It would be at the grocery store if they love it that much. If they love pheasant, it's at the grocery store. So killing for sport is sick in itself, or it is at the very best, it is a lack of understanding or appreciation for what life is. Because when you are a creator, when you embrace the idea, the concept that you are a creator, then it is very, very, very difficult for you to kill. Very difficult. And that is one of the things I find extremely appalling with people who are always saying, come in my house, I will kill you. I mean, we talk about killing people, when we talk about killing people like we are talking about walking out of the door.
That's true. Yeah.
And we're getting to the place where it is becoming much easier to kill each other, which is in itself suicide. Because for every person that is killed, a part of you dies. So we have to look at this differently. The other thing is that what we have seen is that the most unripened group of people on the face of the earth owns more weapons of destruction than anyone on earth. Americans.
And they'll use them too.
Americans. And when they were attempted, because I know this guy, you remember the guy in Walmart who goes stop the robbery, the woman killed him? He had a permit to carry. And when he pulled it out, she shot him. She was a part of the robbery, but this dude, he froze. Come on, drop your weapon. Are you crazy? Just TV. Ain't no TV, just real life. She killed him. So when you look at it, the problem is that you can change all the laws you want. You don't change anything when it comes to weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of destruction of life. Why? Because all of them are grandfathered in. So you got 300 million weapons grandfathered in. That's the craziest thing in the world. They didn't grandfather them in Australia. They said give them up. If you don't, you go pay the price, we get you with it. and they have not had a mass shooting since. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And we are in the belly of the whale. We are Jonah. This mass monster has been created in the sea of life to swallow us. And here we are. The question is, are we going to get comfortable in the belly of the beast, or are we going to become so nauseated into the beast until it's going to spew us out, and then we're going to change the nature of the beast? That's the question. And to change the nature of the beast is to change how we perceive things. We cannot change our perception about certain things. Our perception has to be changed about everything. All the religious stuff that we have been inundated with has to be changed, has to be recognized of what it is, unrightness. And that's when we begin to make a difference. I was looking at some stuff before we got started. One of the things I was looking at, and I guess I'm a perpetual researcher or study, I don't know, all of us probably are. When that dude left that place that was going to be destroyed, Sodom and Gomorrah, what is your name? Lot. Yeah. And the angels told him to go to the city in the mountain. He said, I don't want to go there, I want to go to the plain. And he went to the city, and they called it Zohar. And Zohar means a place of unimportance.
A place of
Unimportance.
unimportance.
Yes.
Unimportance.
Yes. Insignificant. It's not. So, if he went to a place that was not significant, then they allowed him to go to a place where there were no changes to be made. And as a result of him going to a place that was insignificant, what is the rest of the story? What happened with Lot? What did Lot do?
He left something pretty obscure.
What happened after he left that place?
Went to the mountain.
Yeah. Had
His-
babies by his daughters or something.
His daughter started.
Yeah, baby's what?
You can preach wife, you don't.
Yeah, baby's what?
By his daughters.
So he went to a place of insignificance and ended up in incest.
Yeah, yeah, that.
So if you go to a place where you're being guided, then these unripened things are brought to a place of ripeness by your presence. But if you push them behind you and you refuse to go where you're guided to, then all kinds of unseemly things happen. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All kinds of unseemly things happen.
That explains religious leadership.
I'm gonna let you, what are you talking about? You get ready to get caught.
You can claim that foolishness if you want to.
What you talking about, girl? But it does.
Wow.
It does indeed. When you look at how insignificant the whole of religion is in relationship to the spiritual essence of what is real, and that gives them opportunity to justify anything, because it becomes not only its own God, but it is the creator of its own environment. And whatever you create in your own environment, that's what's real to you. And you can justify it. So, maybe, just maybe, Deborah Jane, that's the reason the Catholic priest didn't go to jail. And the Baptist and Methodist preacher does go to jail for the same thing. You know, because they're the ones who created the whole environment. They control it. You know, you see the difference? But when you See, you cannot embrace the reality of our essence and think that there are not things or there are not events or circumstances that we are supposed to be participants in that bring about change that looks like they're wrong. Example. In order for you to rid the world or the environment of this belief of this God that's non-existent, this God that we created, then you have to make that God serve you right.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Because if you serve it, you give it power. But if it serves you, you've taken its power right.
Yeah.
How many of y'all agree with that?
One more time, say it again.
If it serves you, you have usurped its power.
Right.
But if you serve it, you've given it power.
Yes.
Because it
Yes.
does not have power in itself.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So, all these platitudes that have been listed that we are not supposed to do because we are owned by somebody on our marriage certificate. We have to do just the opposite, at least in our hearts, in order to bring balance. Does that make sense? Everything that we have been taught that is wrong, where did it come from?
Religion.
Church.
The Catholic Church. That's its origin. So our attitudes about it must change. Why is it why is that jealousy exists? Why is it that a spouse gets upset with another? Why is it that relationships struggle so much?
Because of ownership. The concept of
It's ownership. I own you, so you cannot look at anybody else. I own you, so you can't spend money unless we clear it. I own, it's ownership. It's, I own this, so why you go change it? House, car, whatever.
Thermostat.
Yeah, thermostat. Yeah. It's true.
It is.
Remote,
We're talking about things people fight
the
over.
remote.
Yep.
I told people the other night that your mom was messing with me. And I started taking my phone. She got to sleep with the cold. I mean cold. So I will wait till she go to bed. and see, the
You are
thermostat controlled by the
terrible.
phone, right?
You are
So I
terrible.
could thumb that up to 80.
Oh, that's evil. It's unripe, sir.
But then I thought about it. She ended up with a headache, so I didn't want to go. But anyway, but those, when we understand, you don't own me. I don't own you. We deal with things based upon how we are led by our Creator. Period. This is the difference. If you are dealing with things based upon how you're being led by the Creator, then all of these negative things out there, these negative eyes that can castigate you, are blinded to your existence. They can't see you. And
Say
you
it
can-
again?
They're blinded to your existence. They can't see you.
No.
You can be right in their midst,
Okay.
and they can't see you.
If what again?
If you are operating based upon how you're being led by the Creator,
Mm-hmm.
then all of these blind folks who would belittle you, all these people, they can't see you. Got it?
I got it.
But if you are doing it for selfish reasons,
Mm-hmm.
lust, all these other crazy things you're doing it for,
Mm-hmm.
everybody sees you. Everybody lies on you. Why? Because there is no sense of protection from the Creator. because you're not operating out of balance. You're doing it based upon your selfish reasons, selfish desires. Can you see the difference there?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you are giving because people are in need of, what you give, then there is always provision made for you to do that continuously. But if you're doing it because you want someone to know it, then you struggle. Same principle. Same principle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What is it, Bobby Jean? I live by giving. I don't live by working. I don't live by resources that someone gives. I live by giving. I give like the Creator gives. I'm a broken piece of the vessel I'm broken because I desire to be a giver just like my Creator. And that's how I live. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been a giver, but I have received a huge amount of inspiration from Bob Jean because coming in contact with her and sees how freely she gives. And I think I shared with her that one discussion that some of us had, man, if the end of it, with Jamil Sheldon, I know in particular, we talked about, it was you too, Janine, we were talking about Bobby Jean, and we said, if anybody don't have to come back for correction, it's probably going to be her.
Y'all were talking about me?
Yeah. But if anybody
correct.
I mean, but that's, and just like the inspiration is there and you're not aware of it, each of us of whom I have spoken and others I've not spoken are inspirations to other people, not maybe in that same regard, but in some regard, that helps us to remain focused on this journey. Can you see that? It helps us to remain focused on this journey. I look at how straightforward and laid back Rick is. And that in itself is inspiration. I have people tell me, man, shoot, I wish I was like Rick. She just say what she gonna say, she don't bother her. And she has to keep it moving. And my lady said she has to kick rocks and keep it moving. It just doesn't matter. Because whatever's happened today, it happened. Tomorrow or the next second, you got to take care of it. So all of us are inspirations, to someone, are we not? Now the question is, what are you inspiring them to be or to do? That's the question.
I'm not bragging on us, but I think we all have a common goal. We're just good people. We're not there to hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And you're right. We were at our thing at class the other night, Monday night, and during the course of the discussion, just we just talking to each other because we're eating and stuff, and someone said that they were talking about different people and how they are reflective of their leadership, and I've always known that, but to look how real that is, how greedy. If leadership is greedy, the people who follow gonna be greedy.
Yeah.
If leadership is given, the people who follow gonna be given. But the reason that is real is because that's the law of attraction. You're going to attract like people.
Yeah.
And even though they may come to you different, what's in them will rise to the surface.
Yeah.
Now, there is a need for greedy leadership and greedy people. In order for us to focus on who we are, to help move mankind from that. There's a need, Audrey, for that $65 million jet. At least for that attitude,
All of us gonna live in that thing. If you get it, if we help you get it, oh yeah.
So you ain't got to worry about moving.
That's right.
If
No.
all they gonna live in it, you ain't got to worry about moving. You don't have to worry about moving. I told you, you give me $65 million, it going in a trust fund, and all of the facilities, we be traveling, all the churches in America will be mad at us. Because we gonna show up. So, hey, we do all that. George be logistics, right? You set it up, we gonna show up.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, that's, Janice, this started with the tree of knowledge and life, but that's how I see it. But I don't see it separate from anything that we've talked about. I don't see, this is what I see. I see, regardless of how different things may seem that we teach, all of it is the same.
Yes.
It's just a different way of explaining the same principle. And I think it's imperative that we do it. Evelyn asked me a question, do you ever see a time when we won't have to do all this anymore? And my response was no, I don't. And the reason is because, not because of us, but it's because we have to deal with these principles in every way that's revealed to us, so it can be put to the macro, so other people can understand it the way that they understand things. I did a prayer at the funeral the other week, and the next day, one of the people from my class called me and said, "You kind of hooked that little prayer, didn't you?" And I just hung up the phone. They're rolling, boy. And I'm like, no, I didn't. So when they got to class, they were messing with me about it, several of them. And I'm like, I don't remember. Then I heard it in my head, and that's how it came out. But the people heard it. And what they were, and the things that I guess was like, you know, the time comes when darkness turns to light, and time turns to eternity, and pain to healing, etc. Those are the kinds of things I was saying. But they heard every word I said. And maybe that's how they had to hear it. You know?
You know, just like my brother, the Jehovah's Witness, he really spoke very highly of what you did at my dad's funeral. So, I mean, you know how they are. They don't.
You talking about her cousin.
Well,
And
I'm talking about my brother. But you know, and
But I
to
know
me
what
that
you're saying,
says,
baby.
that
Yeah.
speaks volumes for
Yeah.
him to say that. And I'm like, he's listening.
yeah,
I hear you.
and the way sometimes you have to speak in a different tone
Mm-hmm.
for people to truly hear you, because that's the way they're accustomed to hearing.
Right.
And I had no, it wasn't that I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna, you know what they call really pray. That's not even in my repertoire. That's not how I think. I just get up there and do what I'm gonna do. If it ain't nothing but okay, we thank you, amen. It doesn't matter to me how long it is or what I say. It doesn't matter. That's how we have to deal with things. And now it was funny, because instead of me, for the first 35 minutes of class, they were just messing with me. They weren't learning nothing. They were acting like Evelyn and Sheldon.
It's very healthy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jenny. So the world will know Sheldon and I am not.
Oh, okay.
I'm just taking the higher road here. I'm just taking the higher road.
I'll be like Jenny told Joy. She just gave you an out. You're proud. Take it.
That's George, I tell you.
And I'm not talking about my brother George, of course.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
The other George, not the quieter one.
So, but anyway, that's that's sometimes that's how we have to speak, and we don't. And you're much better at it when you don't think about it. You just do it. And I don't believe that one of the things that Lava George says is that there's one thing I can say, very much one thing I can say about all the teachers, they're always prepared for everything. I don't care what it is. But preparation is not studying anymore like we once did. That's not preparation. Preparation is simply desire. Period. That may be an article we may read here or there, but the actual understandings is totally different than what it once was. Because you remember when we did the 11-11 thing and Barbara, you had all the preparations and stuff? We do the same thing or beyond that, and there are no preparations like that. Even the thing on Melanin level, I didn't even see it, the article that I sent to the teachers until Friday night. And for the most part, they had not read it before they got there. Some printed it and still didn't read it.
Until
And I read what she
And George sent me another article on it. I saw it, but I haven't had opportunity to read it yet. And I'll probably end up spreading it. But I think Melanin is probably one of the notches in the key that unlocks the door of understanding. It's a notch of wisdom that unlocks the door of understanding. Because of what it is, what it does, and what it is and what it does, we don't know. But we know that it is and does something.
I was thinking about the life is in the blood, and we always figured that was water. And I guess that's not to denigrate water, but I think melanin would probably supersede that.
Not probably. That's exactly what it is, because that's how it's transported.
Right.
Through the blood.
But I was thinking too that probably the reason scientists haven't really studied it or spent much time trying to study it is because of us.
preconceived thoughts about
Yeah.
what is.
Yeah.
And now that they see how powerful it is, they don't want to study to know what it is. They want to study to control it.
Harness
It's
it.
always it.
That's it. Harness it.
Like that battery.
And it's just right, like the battery. But guess what? Melanin is just like we are. Unpredictable. Uncontrollable. Regardless of how you think that you're manipulating us, something always comes out different than what you expected. You've done all you could to destroy us, but we are so resilient until we come out at the other end stronger than we were before the destructive tactics began. That's melanin. And no matter where you put us, we thrive. Whether it be in your eyes, your brain, your skin, it does not matter. We thrive. And regardless of where we end up, we always enhance the life around us, melanin. That's what we do.
That's true.
That's what we do. And while you think you're manipulating us, you're actually manipulating yourself. Because jazz came from our roots. And you were the one who preserved jazz. You're the one who preserved blues. We didn't preserve jazz or blues. We didn't have jazz clubs and blues. You see what I'm talking about? It was Caucasians who did that. The preservation of, what are you saying? Melanin transmits light and transforms it into sound. Sound is music.
Yeah.
And there is something about will not allow humanity, regardless of his reprobate state, to destroy it. It preserves it. So, or attempts to replicate it.
I don't don't know what this has to do with what we're talking about.
Probably nothing, but say it anyway.
But I was looking up, I don't remember the technical term for it, African American English, or I think that's it,
Ebonics.
AAE.
Okay.
Yeah, common term, Ebonics.
Yeah.
And the appreciation that linguists have for the efficiency of our language and the way we'll contract verbs or whatever. People have denigrated it for, years, right? And see that as like a lower class, huh? See that as like a lower class thing, or like, ignorance or whatever. But it's actually like a lot of the intonations and style of speech is like comes from West African languages, and I don't know. I was just thinking about what you were saying about how people perceive us or try to manipulate us, and I'm like that style of speech is gaining respect among people who study that kind of thing.
But guess what?
Linguist.
Yeah, and the reason is because we are changing things.
Mm-hmm.
Life is becoming more respected than what it once was. I remember being at the Fusky a few years ago, and I went to the First Baptist Church in South Carolina, because I'm the Fusky, and they had this Bible there, and I began reading it, and they had the King James Version and the Gullah Bible. I could understand the Gullah Bible. Now I was reading it, and I'm understanding it, and I'm trying to understand why you got this beside, and it dawned on me. You have to focus or have a desire in order to understand. And as I read the scriptures in Gullah, I could understand it. And what they did, there was an effort to destroy all the Gullah Bibles because of the language. But now, there's a society in New York that not only preserves the Gullah Bible, but publishes it.
Okay.
So
Something
that's a
similar.
huge change. Huh?
Something similar happening in Hawaii to preserve pidgin and
Yes.
to keep that from dying out, because it has some of the same things
The
with like the
dialects.
efficiency and the beauty of the language and the dialects.
And in Hawaii, the petition is circulating in Hawaii for self-governing,
Mm-hmm.
and at the very least, to make sure that the overarching culture, the Polynesian culture, it is not swallowed up by Americanism, because I can't say the American culture, but by Americanism. There's a huge battle taking place now. It's quiet. You don't hear about it usually unless you're watching Al Jazeera or BBC, but there's a huge effort in Hawaii to change what happened. I think it's 58 when it became a state. And there's a huge battle in Puerto Rico to fight against statehood in Puerto Rico. I think it's going to gain ground because, and I know we stepped aside for a moment, but I think it's going to gain ground when you have a territory that you can tell you cannot file for bankruptcy, and they going broke because of you. You are manipulating them into poverty. And then when you think about it, why? Let me say this: everyone in the world who lives in abject poverty are people of color. You have to ask yourself this question. Barbara Jean,
Yes.
why is it they did not experience abject poverty until after they came in contact with Europeans? It was because of colonization. How did they live prior to those encounters? Why were they not in poverty then? because they lived from the land. They were one with nature, and everything they needed was provided because they believed that it would be. They knew that the Creator could not allow them to starve because they were one with everything that existed. But when that perception of separation was instituted and accepted, now things begin to die off. Because whatever you ignore, it dies. Take a baby, do not hug that baby, ignore that baby will die.
Even if you feed it.
Yeah, even if you feed it. Well, I experienced it. When I was in Haiti, in that orphanage, 2 nuns, almost 300 babies, well over 200 babies, and there were kids dying for lack of affection. There was a reason that a cow can birth a calf, and in a few days that calf is on his own. But a human can birth a child and have to nurture that child to grow. There's a reason for that. To me, that's indicative of expressing the creativity, the creatorship that we are. Everything else can function at birth, but we are interdependent on each other. We have to nurture each other in order for us to maturate. And our maturation is supposed to result in the creation of whatever it takes for the rest of creation to maturate. That's what I believe. And if we interferes with that, the result of it is death. Poverty is death. Because none of us know what poverty is. None of us. None of us have ever experienced poverty. None of us have. Even when we talk about, yeah, I grew up poor. No, you didn't. You didn't grow up without some stuff your neighbors had. You didn't grow up poor. We don't know what that feels like. We don't know what it looks like. But everyone who does is as a result of colonization. And because we are in the process of establishing this sense of creative unicity, these things are beginning to change. And creative unicity is the embracing of sacred unity.
One more time.
Creative unicity, creative oneness is the embracing sacred unity. Recognizing that everything is one. Everything is the same. And when that happens, guess what happens? People in Hawaii circulated a petition to return to where they were. People in Puerto Rico say, let's just break all financial and economic ties with America, be who we are. Because Puerto Rico is a nation of indigenous, what we call Indians and indigenous people and slaves. That's what Puerto Rico is. That was colonized by the Spaniards. That's what it is.
The same thing on the islands too.
Yeah. Islands were, the islands were distribution centers, like the Walmart distribution center. They took us there and put us in these little places, these pens, kept us there because it was hot. They had to worry about clothing us. And you need 100 in North Carolina? Okay. And you need 200 in South Carolina? Okay. That's how they were, we were distributed. Like Walmart need 200 TVs in Greer and 500 in Columbia. They just sent it from the distribution center. That's what the islands were. They were distribution centers. So, but anyway, Any questions?
When
And
you
then,
go online and you start looking at research on melanin, you see all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
that they're discovering about melanin.
that's why I feel like
And again, they're trying to just figure out why so they can control it.
control it. That we are
There's
target.
money in this.
And if we don't deal with it, they may not control it, but they will control access to the understanding of it.
Oh, okay, okay.
But if we do what we are supposed to do, the access of understanding cannot be controlled.
Right.
Because it is our desire that everyone understands melanin so that the whole of humanity can see the reality of its essence. Not white folk, not Native American, not Alaskan, no, humanity, period. That we are who we are. Bottom line. That's it. Questions? Any
So-
questions? Go ahead.
So, we've been so resilient because the melanin is able to balance things out
Yes.
no matter what the situation.
Yes. No matter what happens. And the melanin is responsible for the depth of forgiveness that we are. Not that we have, that we are.
I was thinking about that. Like, you can throw like a huge amount of destructive energy at it. It's just going to absorb it and
Yeah.
radiate it in another way.
And
You can't.
transform it into something positive.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you throw at us, you can go to Charleston and kill 9 people, and the melanin says we forgive you. You can go to San Bernardino and kill all these folk, and the one black man you kill, his brother say, I forgive you. The rest of them say, I'm trying to think about it. You know, somewhere down the road I might be able to do this, but right now I'm just got to think about it because you're a terrorist. I mean, you see, that's who we the essence of forgiveness, because melanin takes everything that's supposed to be adverse to life and makes it life.
It sounds like the creator. I mean,
That's who we are.
That's it.
It is
That's
the creator.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
I mean, this is extremely powerful. I mean, think about it. That's why you are so uncomfortable when you walk around feeling guilt. Why? How can you feel guilt when you are forgiveness? So it is something foreign to you. You right the wrong and keep it moving. Or you recognize that it is not a wrong. And you keep it moving. Why? Because everything that you do is for the benefit of the whole. You can't do what's beneficial to you and you alone. If we were to do that, then what's the point in us being here? Well, if we were to do that, then you can't live by giving, you live by taking. There is no one who exemplifies the power of melanin more than Donald Trump. Why? Because regardless of what he says, we'd be like, okay, he's no different than the rest of them, and we still survive. When Bush ran for office the first time, I said, I'm talking about the second Bush, my statement was, it doesn't matter. We survive anything. And then the second time, my statement was he needs to win. He got to win. Because no one else needs to inherit this mess he has in Iraq. He has to win. But guess what? No matter what program they go cut, no matter what they say they go take away, we always survive. There was a time when black folk could not get public assistance. And we still made it. Public assistance is not something that was designed for us. It was designed for the people in Appalachia, the people in West Virginia. That's who it was put in place for. It wasn't us.
We didn't get access, all the New Deal programs, we got none of that.
None of that. We didn't get
None.
Social Security, none of it.
No.
Maybe we ought to be pulling for Donald Trump to win the presidency.
Oh, I have no issues with that. And the reason I prefer Donald Trump over Hillary is because he's honest about what he believes.
Yeah.
And the establishment is pushing her. They never compare Bernie Sanders. When they say Hillary can beat Donald, Hillary can beat Ted, you'll never see what Bernie Sanders can do. They do not compare him to them. All they compare him to is Hillary's numbers. That's it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a part of me that's so cynical. That
Just a part?
That,
Sorry.
what?
I couldn't help it.
She said what we was thinking.
So she's Donald Trump.
No. She's a spokesman. She's a spokesman.
The cynical part of me is saying that Hillary will wake up and Bernie Sanders has won the primary.
That would be something.
Yeah.
That's what Obama did.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I really have no issue because it is my firm belief that unless your back is against the wall, you don't fight to be free. You don't listen. You don't focus. You hear things, but you don't pay it any attention. But when you're in a difficult position, then you're more apt to hear about how to get out of that position. I mean, we try all these other things. People have been on their face before the Lord for as long as longer than I can remember. And we still got the same stuff. Same stuff. People did not get out of slavery because they prayed. They got out of slavery because of Harriet Tubman, because of Nat Turner, because of Frederick Douglass. If Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, Nat Turner, Demont Ville, all of them just prayed and did absolutely nothing else, we'd still be enslaved. The one who would be free must strike the first blow, Frederick Douglass. You cannot have the storm without the rain. It's just to be free without struggle is trying to walk in the rain without being wet. You'll get in the water, but you don't want to be wet. Not going to happen. And the struggle of which I speak now is not a physical struggle. It's a spiritual struggle. And the bondage of which I speak is not the bondage of shackles. Because the shackles were simply to bring us to a place where we could be the redeemers that we are. We are redeemers. This is not about getting folks saved so they can be a member of the church. This is about redeeming mankind so we can recreate humanity. Recreate.
Was that the same as restoring?
Yes.
Restoration?
Redemption, restoration, yes. That's who we are. We are redeemers. And when you redeem something, it costs you something. Redemption is never free. And the thing that redemption costs you is all your desires and aspirations for yourself. All those things must be left by the wayside. All of it. Your single focus is the redemption of humanity. And all these other things will be added. And when there come periods when this body needs to be disconnected so it can be restored, so you can continue to occupy it, then the Creator will make those opportunities happen so that can take place. And you will always run into people who say, well, me anyway, this is what happened with me. I constantly hear you need to rest, but I also constantly hear when I go someplace to rest, you always get a vacation. You know, I wish I had your opportunities. I wish I could rest the way you rest. And I say, I wish you could too.
Who are these people?
That don't come from your people.
No, but they come from people.
Yeah.
I say, well, this is one I get.
Don't let them around us.
Especially you.
I have no shame.
I mean, and I get it. So, when I went to California, so you going and Phoebe's not going? Yeah? How you gonna do that without her? I'm gonna get on the plane. Why? I rest better by myself. Why? Because if you're with me, I'm not thinking about resting. I'm so accommodating. I want to make sure you're okay. And I may be up all night and you sleep. So now I'm irritating you. I might be asleep all day and you want to go get something to eat. I might not eat for 2 days. Yeah, that kind of thing. But that's what I get.
They don't know any better. They really don't.
And some of them I say, well, you know, it's okay. And then some of them I say things that I'm not going to say in here.
Mind your own business.
No, it's worse than that.
Oh,
Yes.
that's good.
Okay, go.
I said it's still the Ellen talk.
We all need that
It's
one
good to
that
know
time to
we're
rest
not
for
alone.
ourselves.
But you know, and you cannot get them to see that even when I'm not taking care of business, I'm taking care of business. Even when you're in the middle of the night, I'm dealing with things. The other night, I was there. I was not sleeping, and finally I dozed off and woke right up. And when I woke up, I had this feeling that I needed to deal with something on behalf of somebody, and I did it. And the next thing I knew, the sun was coming up. How do you explain that to somebody who don't know you? But that's what I do. And then I got one person who says to me, well, that's why they pay you the big bucks. And I used to say, if you only knew. It's not about the big bucks, because they don't come. But you know what I say now? You're absolutely right. That's why you don't get no bucks. Because you ain't doing that. But it's not. People have these misconceived ideas
Yes, yeah.
about, because I'm able to do something, they see dollar signs, right? You know, they don't see a $36 ticket to Philadelphia. And I guarantee you, nobody here know anybody who got a $36 ticket to Philadelphia on American Airlines except me. They were $36. And I
I
upgraded.
believe you. I don't remember it, but I believe you.
I mean, you did it.
I know.
And then we upgraded to 42.
That's right. We did. We did.
Yeah.
Got a better seat or something.
I mean,
or
those
better
are the
time, yeah.
Those are the kinds of things. And it's simply because the Creator is saying, you need this. It's time for you to do something about this. That kind of thing. And we have been talking about it for weeks, doing it. And finally we did it, and look what happened. That's what I'm talking about. So, and if I talk to other people who are pastors and talk about, how long I've been doing what I do in terms of quote unquote pastoring, and I don't talk about them about income because they could not understand it. They can't wrap their mind around that. How do you do what you do with that? Everybody says that I'm extremely wealthy, and I say I am. The reason I am wealthy is because I'm able to give. And when you go retire, my idea of retiring is being in a position where I can leave all my income in the places where it comes from, so we can take care of the stuff. That's my idea of retirement. My idea of retirement is stop doing what I'm doing. Because if I did that, people told me, if you retire and come home, I'm going to be a greeter at Walmart. So I said, well, you don't get up early enough to do that. She said, I do it in the evening.
Well, at least she'll be a pretty greeter, because some of them Walmart put up there. It make you not want to come in there. I'm like, oh, okay.
maybe they become a greeter, then they'll be prison no more.
Whatever.
So if she become a greeter,
Don't do it, Miss Phoebe.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
anyway, I'm done. I'm done. Okay, I'm done. I do appreciate that question, Denise, because that's one of the things that I have been trying in my mind to relate to sacred unity, and the question itself helped me to do it. Because if I'm not pressed, sometimes I can't, see the connections there. So, okay, are there any questions or statements? Okay. Let me encourage you to enjoy your families. Take every opportunity to enjoy the holidays. Every opportunity to enjoy your family. And if you got some family members like some of us might have, who you don't particularly enjoy, just stay away from. Go in the opposite direction. If all you gather at one place, just show your face and keep it moving. But anyway, be very cognizant of the traffic patterns out there and drive safely. Drive for not just for you, for everybody out there. And that's it. The only thing you need to give is love. That's it. I got this little thing, Keisha sent me, one of the things on it was, instead of seeking presence, seek presence, be present. And don't just give hugs. Instead, wrap people in hugs and not wrap gifts. Those kinds of things is what's most important. Because the greatest gift that I have ever been given is insight. And the greatest presence I've been granted is yours. The people I come.
Likewise.
I could not ask for anything more. And if there was anything I would give back to the Creator that He's given me, it would be Janice and
that boy.
It's because you only give your best.
Except for Shelley, right?
He can come too. I don't know who else will take him.
That's okay, Shelley.
I said I'm really being thrown under the bus over.
Are you still on the high road?
Still looking down.
She
Still
said,
looking down.
are you still high?
That bottomless buffet.
Okay, really, enjoy yourselves, and I'll be here next Saturday.
I'll be away next Saturday.
You'll be away next Saturday? Okay,
I'll be away too.
okay.
I'll be here.
Shelley, you'll be here too, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, I'll be there, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Okay, I'll after I talk to Frank Shell, I'll call you.